Good morning and welcome to our channel. My name is Carrie. Today we're going to start a little seed project for herbs and for some lettuce. I usually start these projects out in the greenhouse, but it's snowing and cold today, so I thought I would just head to the basement where most of my supplies are. There's some of my growing trays down there on the bottom of the rack. And lots of empty space here for us to get planting. What kind of started this wanting for planting this morning is I've already started to receive some of my 2026 seed catalogs. I've got my Johnny's catalog and my Vessie's catalog. Started to look through some really great seeds that I might want to plant for next year. So this is where I store all of my seeds. And I really miss going out into the garden looking for my herbs and for lettuce. So I think what we might do is we'll pull out the lettuce and see what we have in the way of herbs here. I'll pull out the herbs. Okay, and we'll see what we're going to work with today. It's just kind of nice when you want to just grab a quick salad. You can just go down to your basement and cut them up. Oh, there's some nice mesclun. Clearly, by looking at all these seed packets, you see how much I enjoy buying different seeds. I'm really trying to shop Canadian, but there are a few places like Baker's Creek Heirloom Seeds. They have some of the most incredibly different types of seeds. I think, okay, just trying to find something easy. I think I might do some butter crunch and just like here's a red and green mix. It's called a Greenvale mix. I'll try these two for lettuce. And now for herbs, I definitely want to try some mint. I have some rosemary already started in the house. I'll show you those. I dug those up from the garden already, like at the end of the season. I dug those up and I was able to bring some of them in. They're doing well. All right, so I don't think I want dill or sage. I definitely want some curly parsley. And let's see what else. I'm sure I tried a new seed company called Heirloom Seeds. They're in Canada, and I got some really interesting basil. I got some cinnamon basil. It was delicious. What else did I get from there? They had some really interesting different seeds. Their rosemary was fantastic. Their dill was also very, very prolific out in the garden. I think I'm just gonna stick with some spicy basil. Definitely some cilantro. That's my favorite. Andrew doesn't like it, but I do quite enjoy the cilantro. So what have we got here? Some chives, some mint, some spicy basil, some lemon basil, some parsley, and some cilantro. I think that should be enough to get us started. What I'll do is, we'll see how everything goes. If it turns out they all germinate quite well and healthy, then what I can possibly do is gift some of these to people for Christmas gifts. All right, let's put these away. Actually, I also, a few weeks ago, Andrew and I were at a Christmas fair, and there's a lady, it's called Vicky's Veggies. She's out in Peck, Prince Edward County, and she had some heirloom tomato seeds that I picked up, some striped German multicolored beefsteak tomato and black cherry tomato. So I'm very excited to try those out next year. So this is my whole seed, kind of my seed catalog here. These are actually for pictures. I ordered these, I think 2 years ago now. And they're great because I just, here's beans, carrots. I separate them all by what the type is. And then they're very easy to keep together, keep them dry. And then if I'm actually seeding, like planting right from seed out in the garden, then I can just take one of those out with me. And then it's great because as when you plant, things get dirty and they get wet. So these plastic containers really help keep things dry. Okay, so let's move these back up here on the shelf. I've got a couple of trays here. I think I'll use this tray for some of the herbs, and we'll use this for the lettuce. I don't plan to transplant the lettuce. I plan just to grow it all in this, but with the herbs, I'll start them out here, and then once the seedlings develop and they get a little larger, I'll up pot them. All right, so let's get some soil. I just used the Miracle-Gro potting mix. Let's grab a little bucket here. Fill these up. I will say, nothing makes me happier than digging in dirt and planting things. It's just such a great feeling. And there's nothing better than once you've grown something and you actually eat it. Like when you can pull things from your garden and you can set a table with it, it's just such a sense of accomplishment. This is why I like doing this part out in the greenhouse, because I'm making quite a mess here. I don't really have any other options. I don't really want to be traipsing out in the snow. The soil is going to get all cold, and I don't like to start my seeds in cold soil. The warm soil helps with the germination process. I think that should be enough to start that. Okay, so let's get these guys in here. Do lots of cleanup after this for sure. Do any of you start seeds during the winter? Whether it be flowers or, as I'm doing today, herbs. You don't necessarily have to have a grow light setup. The reason why I have such a big setup here is because I do for all of our vegetables and our flowers. I germinate them, I would say probably 90% of them all inside. If you just have a nice sunny window ledge, that'll work just as well. All right, let's get the dirt out of the way. I'm gonna need a few other supplies here. Okay, we're going to need some little, I use popsicle sticks as tags, so I know what I've planted, marker. I use this little thing here to poke my holes. I think that's all I need from there. All right, let's start with the lettuce. We have Butter Crunch and this Greenvale mix. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just sprinkle the seeds in here. I'm not going to bury them. What I'm going to do is I'm going to sprinkle the seeds around, and then I'm going to just put some soil on top of them. It's just easier. These seeds are very tiny. So as you can see, so very tiny these are. So I'm going to sprinkle them around. And when I do start my anything from seed, I do seed more than what I know I need. But then what I do is once everything does start to germinate, I then go in and thin it out, giving them a chance to have more room to grow. So if you're wondering why I'm putting so many in here, that's the reason why. And this is our Butter Crunch lettuce. Okay, so before we get too far into this, let's get this stuff labeled. Green Veil Mix. And I usually write on the back the date, December 4. That's on that end. And this is Butter Crunch. On this end. So let's get a little bit more dirt here. They only need to be buried. Lettuce typically 1/4 to 1/2 inch. They don't need to be too far down into the soil. So this is plenty what I've put on top here. Okay, I have put it, the bottom of this container does have holes in it, and there's one on the side here so that any moisture, if there's excessive moisture, it can work its way out of the container, and I put it in one of these black trays. So now we get our water. Water this down quite well. Let's give it a good soaking. I don't cover the lettuce. I just leave it like this, and every morning I'll come down and give it a good water. Turn on the grow lights. For now, I'll just put it on the shelf, and we'll do that together in a minute. Okay, now let's figure out the herbs. Oh, I've made quite a mess here. All right, so I really like cilantro, so I'll do 8 cilantro. What do I got here? 2, 4, 6. So we got 1 parsley. I'll do 2 chives. Maybe 1 mint, 1 spicy basil, 1 lemon basil, and 1 parsley. Well, let's get some tags sitting up here. Cilantro, parsley, lemon basil. It's delicious on chicken. As is spicy basil. That's, I think, one of my favorite basils is spicy basil. It's also delicious on pizza. Mint. My grandbabies love coming over and making tea from fresh mint. So I always have buckets of that on my back deck. Okay. So we'll put our, oh, I said 2 cilantro, so maybe I should do another tag just so that I don't forget. And I will only do the date on 1 because it will be evident that I've planted these all on the same day. What's really interesting to me is when you plant something like this, how different everything germinates. Like, for instance, when I'm working with peppers, poblano peppers, what's the next one? Lemon basil. Poblano peppers take absolutely forever to germinate. And last year, I forgot about that. And I kept thinking to myself, there's no way these things are going to germinate. And I forgot all about them. And then within about 2 weeks after everything else had started to germinate, they just took off like a shot. So it's good to pay attention to, when you read your packages, what the germination rate is. So you're not a failure, it's just everything germinates at a different rate. All right, so now we know what we're gonna plant. Let's get some holes in here. And I'm gonna do just 1 per, I think, because I'm gonna do 1 hole, but usually what I do is I plant 2 seeds in each. Oh, there's a big chunk of something on And get these holes here started. Okay, let's start with the chive stand here. It's just so tiny. I have a pair of tweezers that I like to use. It's just easier. I'm going to put 2 in each. I can hear Andrew upstairs turning on the walkie-talkies. He must be taking the dogs back into the forest. He's probably wondering who I'm talking to down here. Sometimes these things don't like to come off. Oops. Okay. I think I missed one in here. And as I said, I'm putting 2 in, but I will, once they start to germinate, I will come back and thin them out. Because there's no guarantee that they're all going to germinate. Very rarely does a package have 100% germination. So for these chives, it takes 7 to 14 days to germinate. Next is mint. Oh, I guess I should have checked the inside of my mint before I decided to plant them. I'll have to rethink that one. Spicy basil. Maybe I do have another mint somewhere. I don't normally put my seeds back in the package if they're empty. I must have been in a hurry. Because that's not like me. As you can tell by the way I have all my seeds organized, I'm very attention to detail oriented, how I do things. And you'll see just how much so I am like that when I show you my actual garden plan, my layout of my garden. I've shown you actually physically outside, but I also have it all set up on a spreadsheet where I tag all of my plants. That way I know what's out there. So spicy basil takes 7 to 14 days. Pretty much most of these take 7 to 14 days. Lemon basil. Oh, it's feeling kind of empty too. Okay, well, no lemon basil. Okay, well, it looks like we're going to have to find a replacement for lemon basil and for mint. So we'll have to, once we're finished planting these, we'll have to go back and look through the herb packages. Probably should have done that first. Okay, now we're into parsley. My dream appliance is in a freeze dryer. I would absolutely love to have a freeze dryer. Every year when I plant so many herbs out in my garden, I would love to be able to grow even more and then freeze dry them and be able to have those all year long. There's nothing that tastes better than fresh herbs. And from what I've been told and everything I've read, that freeze-dried herbs taste just amazing. Cilantro, got a massive pack. Let's just see, the parsley, they take 10 to 28 days to germinate. It's quite a bit longer. The cilantro, it doesn't say. But I would assume it would be the 7 to 14 days. And again, I'm putting 2 in. These are, I love this size of a seed because you can actually see them. Thought it was a little seed in there, but it's one of the little fertilizer balls that is in the actual soil. Okay. let's move these to the side here. Let's find 2 more herbs we can use. What have we got here? We have cinnamon basil, purple basil. We already have parsley. That's regular sweet basil. Actually, why don't we do sweet basil? And there are seeds in there. And a lot of basil in this one here. This must be my mostly, yeah, it's mostly basil. What do we got in this one? Rosemary. I've already got rosemary started. But actually, if I do the rosemary, then maybe I can gift that. Let's do that. Do I have rosemary in there? Let's do that. I can gift people some little rosemary plants. So we'll change our tags. We'll just cross it off and use the other side. Rosemary. And sweet basil. It's really interesting when you pick up a seed catalog and you see the absolute different types of seeds where you just think like there's one type of basil, but it's amazing how many different types there are. And they taste so very differently. Like I think one of my favorite basils is a spicy basil, but also Thai basil. It's got almost like a licoricey taste to it. It's delicious in salads. One of my favorite things to do in the summer when all of my herbs are in full bloom, I tend to keep them in the greenhouse in a stackable container. I'll go out with a bowl and just take a cutting from each of the herbs, and especially the mint, and make a salad from that. It's absolutely delicious. I add other things in it as well, but when you add all those fresh herbs, it just tastes, it's just so fresh, like there's nothing better. Okay. Those take, what does it, doesn't say. Again, I would say it's 7 to 14 days. And then the rosemary. Oh, they're so very tiny. Wow. That's why I like to use these tweezers, because it's not always easy to grab these little things without getting a whole bunch of them. Then it's just a waste of the seeds. Okay. Put those back in there. Oh, got an escapee. Get in there. Okay. All right, so now just cover up the holes. And sometimes with my herbs, I will cover them. I have like a little plastic dome that goes over top of these. I'll have to push these down a bit. It'll just rest. It won't fit snugly on the top, but it will just, what it does is it helps once you water these and you put them under the lights, the moisture starts to develop, and it just helps to keep the seeds, the soil moist for germination. All right, let's give this a pump. I used to just water these by hand with a little watering can. And when you have 2 full racks and each rack is completely full of seeds, it takes a long time. So Andrew last year picked this thing up for me. And at first I said I didn't need it, but actually no, I'm very glad he did buy that for me because I make good use of it. So we're gonna give these guys a good drink. One more pass through. There we go. That should do it for today. Get the cover put on. And we'll just rest like this on top. Okay, and now we're going to move it over here to the lights. Okay, so that's where these seeds are gonna start. I'm gonna come and turn my light on. I've only got one row set up right now, but that will be where these will start out. Maybe move this over a little bit more. There we go. Okay, so that's it for today's planting project. I will keep you updated and let you see how these are making out. I'll show you here. This is one of my rosemaries I brought in from outside. It's not looking too bad. Needs to be pinned up a little bit. There's my lemon tree. My son-in-law gave me this. It's doing quite well. And I did a little bit of propagating one of my hydrangeas out front. It seems to be doing very well. I hope it stays that way over the winter. Okay, I got a big mess to clean up here. Thanks for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye, friend.